This is the Great Basin prescribed fire and weather briefing for Wednesday, February 12th. Looking at the, go backwards here to the project activity level. We see a lot of the burn projects in the purple circles. Open circles indicate larger projects. Also saw a new fire start here in northwest Nevada, very small, just an acre or less. Precipitation past 7 days. Most of the moderate to heavy precipitation has been up in the Idaho mountains, as well as the mountains of western Wyoming and northern Utah, and of course the Sierra front. Otherwise, bone dry for the southern half of the geographic area. You see the percent of normal on the right-hand side. And where it's driest, or where it has been the driest, is where we have the driest 100-hour fuels, near 10%, maybe even some upper single digits, and much more moist, 15, 20%, as you head further north into areas that had recent precipitation. The flash drought index here tells an interesting story so far for the past 2 months. Extreme short-term drought across the southern third of the Great Basin, of course, Nevada, southern Utah, the Arizona Strip. This includes both lower and higher elevations. And now that we're into the second week of February, this is something we're going to have to watch, as we are about a month or a month and a half away of the end of the traditional wet winter season and get more into the springtime pattern. And you have to excuse my mouse here, acting very sensitive today. See the snowpack, very low. Again, this is something we're looking at as we head into the start of fire season, which is just basically a little over 3 months away, and only 20 to 50% of normal in southern areas, much closer to normal as you get into far northern portions of Nevada and into Idaho and western Wyoming. And let's go back here. Satellite imagery. And we put the satellite here into motion. And we see the Pacific storm track quite active. There's a blocking ridge of high pressure overhead now, which will be giving way. And we expect some of this storminess to start moving in as early as tomorrow, Thursday, and continuing into a good portion of the weekend. So here is the upper level map on the left for this afternoon. Dry air mass in place, wind flow coming out of the north and northwest, bringing in dry, cold continental air from central Canada. And that's going to keep temperatures about 10 degrees colder than normal in most areas. But you see that moisture with that next storm system off the Pacific coast, and that's going to start moving our way. Surface winds, you can see them fairly light in most areas, a little breezy here in southern areas, coming out of the north-northwest, a little bit of a downslope effect. Minimum humidities, pretty good for burning, 15 to 25% in the southern half of the geographic area, more like 30 to 45 or 50% further to the north. Transport winds, you see them quite strong here, more analogous to the ridgetop levels coming out of the north and northwest. Where you see the orange and you see the vertical mixing in the yellow to orange and red shades, several thousand feet above ground level. So excellent overall vertical dispersion as well. Now the map really changes tomorrow. Storm system deepens, pulls in a lot of Pacific moisture, squeezes it out across the Great Basin. So cloudy, wet conditions, and probably snowy in most areas, with cold air in place for Thursday, wherever you see the green areas. Vertical mixing pretty good, maybe limited by cloud cover at most, but overall you see the surface winds increasing 20 to 30 miles an hour. You see the oranges. You see the humidity levels coming up. The only dry pocket that remains is far southeast Utah, where humidities are still 25 to 30%, but that will be changing. The transport winds quite strong across most areas. In the brown, those are transport winds of 40, 50, even 60 miles an hour. Vertical mixing, excellent, several thousand feet above ground level. Now, the storm system continues across most areas. On Friday, we see the areas in the green. Clouds will be in place, overcast skies, light to locally moderate precipitation, excellent overall ventilation again. And the humidity, these are minimum humidities on the right-hand side, very high, not dropping down below 70% in most areas, and probably closer to 100% during the overnights. And you can still see the winds playing a role here, mostly out of the southwest in southern areas of Utah and the Arizona Strip, and more out of the west across northern Nevada and Idaho during this time. Transport winds, same directions, but much stronger, obviously, in the Sierra front. Those are transport winds of 50, 60 miles an hour. Lots of 30 to 50 mile an hour transport winds across most areas, along with great vertical mixing. This is the 3-day precipitation totals, and we get it everywhere, including those very dry areas, those drought-stricken areas in the south, the Arizona Strip, southern Utah, southern Nevada, a ½ inch to an inch of precipitation through there, much more so along the Sierra front, and decent precipitation in the Wasatch here. You can see the blue shades to purple. That's 1 inch to 2 inches of precipitation, so roughly 10 to 20 inches of snow across most areas above 6,000 feet. So we go into Saturday. Still lingering clouds and precipitation in the eastern Great Basin, a dry wedge of air in the middle, and then the next batch of moisture approaching the Pacific Northwest. Good overall ventilation. That next storm system coming in, not as strong, but still some cloudy skies, some light precipitation across Nevada and parts of Idaho, moving into Utah. That moves more into Utah and all of Idaho and Wyoming on Monday. Again, these amounts will be more like 1/10 of an inch, but again, keeping the humidity levels high. And then on Tuesday, big high pressure ridge starts building back in. We start getting drier air, but that same pattern. It's going to be a cold wind direction coming out of the north. So keep that in mind. This is precipitation early Sunday morning through Monday evening. You can see light to moderate amounts in the north, and still some light amounts in northern areas, maybe locally moderate, about 1/4 inch where you see the dark green shades in the higher terrain. This is Monday through Wednesday. This is the 7-day total precipitation, so again, a good soaking. And for commuting here in northern Utah, this is the forecast for the Salt Lake City area. Highs only in the upper 20s today. Any morning snow flurries will be giving way to sunny skies. Clear and cold tonight. And then the next storm system brings snow on Thursday, which could be mixing with rain as we go into Thursday evening, and all rain, at least in the valleys below 5,500 feet on Friday, and then continue a mix of rain and maybe some wet snow mixed in the valleys, but all snow in the higher terrain as we go through the weekend. The 8 to 14, the outlook. Again, sorry for the squirreliness of the mouse, but I would just say above normal temperatures. It's going to seem much above normal since we've been so cold for so long, but temperatures in the valleys probably well up into the 50s in the north and maybe 60s in the south, and also drier than normal for a change after the storminess that we expect the next 3 to 5 days. This concludes our briefing. Next one comes up on Friday. Have a great day.